Akashiya Sanma is one of the most positive people on Japanese TV. Known for his anecdotes and ability to carry on an endless conversation, he's considered one of the big three legendary comedians. Let's take a closer look at him. Sanma was born in Wakayama and grew up in Nara. He lived a pretty normal life, but at the age of 3, his mother died. His father remarried when he entered elementary school, and Sanma was actually happy to have a stepmom. She, however, was not, and she ignored him. His parents had another child, and one night, through the wall, after his stepmom had a few drinks, he overheard her say, "This is my only child." Sanma was incredibly sad, but he still wanted her affection. He never became resentful, but instead tried to make her laugh, which actually started him on the path of comedy. In school, he was known as the class clown, and he looked forward to going to school every day to bring laughs to his classmates. In high school, Sanma became interested in rakugo, a traditional form of Japanese comedy. After spending a day watching live performances, Sanma decided to seek training from this guy. Matsunosuke asked him, "Why'd you pick me?" And Sanma casually said, "You have good sense." A brazen comment which could have been taken as an insult, especially in the traditional world of rakugo. But Matsunosuke laughed. He felt there was something special about him and agreed to take him as a disciple. After Sanma graduated high school, he moved in with Matsunosuke to learn rakugo. He received the name Shofukute Sanma, and in 6 months, he was given his first live performance, which he bombed. He was so nervous, he blanked halfway through it and had to retell everything from the start. He didn't dwell on the failure for too long though, and continued training. 2 years passed, and Sanma started to feel rakugo wasn't really what he wanted to do. He wanted to get into showbiz, but he was worried what Matsunosuke would say. Matsunosuke took him in, fed him, clothed him, and gave him work. These fears were in vain though. Matsunosuke was extremely understanding. He gave him a new stage name, Akashiya Sanma, and organized a coming-of-age/farewell event for Sanma, which became his first appearance on TV. During the taping, Matsunosuke said to Sanma, "No one ever made it big by doing the same thing as someone else." After that, Sanma entered a talent agency and gained the nickname Disco Ball for being incredibly bright and vibrant on stage, but being quite timid in the office. He started off doing local programs in Osaka and was famous for imitating this Hanshin Tigers player's pitching stance. His fame was growing steadily, but in 1982, tragedy struck. His loving younger brother, his emotional supporter throughout childhood, died in a house fire at the young age of 19. Some news sources said it was a suicide, but Sanma refused to believe it. Sanma was so depressed he thought about retiring from showbiz. But friend and fellow comedian All Kyojin said, "I heard your brother was in a fire." This "I heard" part is a typical joke setup. All Kyojin was trying to have Sanma deliver a punchline about his tragedy. Sanma responded, "Yeah, we ran out of wood, so we used him." Death is something not easily joked about, and Sanma had every right to be angry at him, but he thanked him. All Kyojin helped him realize that he could continue, and continuing is probably what his brother wanted him to do. By 1985, he was so popular he was asked to host the first ever Tokyo International Film Festival with Tamori. Their comical hosting greatly expanded their fan base. In fall of that year, Sanma had an experience which changed the way he looked at life. Due to his popularity, he constantly had to travel between Tokyo and Osaka. He regularly took flights to make recordings. And one day, on August 12th, his schedule had a slight change. He had to take an earlier flight to make it. That day, Japan Airlines Flight 123 crashed. Only 4 of the passengers on board survived, and Sanma couldn't believe it. He was supposed to be on that flight. He couldn't hide his shock, and from this, he coined this phrase, which means, "Simply being alive is a treasure." He learned to feel grateful for life every day, and he wanted to make the most of his time. This phrase is also why he named his daughter Imalu. Sanma went on to host his own talk shows and to great success. he became the king of talk shows. Sanma is such a talented talker. Some people say they don't know when recording for the show starts or ends, because he's just constantly talking. He's also very grateful to his fans. Some fans have said he's stopped to chat with them, goes out of his way to take photos with them, and never tries to hide his identity. He's a man who truly enjoys what he does, and that's pretty awesome. Other info. Sanma has said he doesn't really get angry at other people. He said, "Yeah, there are moments I think, what's wrong with this guy? But after a few minutes, I just let it go. I figure if someone is doing something that irritates people, they're either ignorant of the fact that it bothers people, or if they're doing it on purpose, like trying to make somebody miserable, well, they live a pitiful life. After thinking that, I can't feel angry at them." Sanma has a close connection to the Okinawan band Begin. They appeared on one of his specials, and Sanma asked them to make a new song. I'm unsure how serious Sanma was, but he put them in a private room and said he'd come back near the end of the show to hear the new song. Remarkably, they created this song. Sanma has used this song for his talk show, and as a thank you, Sanma has made several appearances at their concerts. He's even sung with them. When his schedule didn't allow it, he actually begged his ex-wife to go in his place. Speaking of his ex-wife, he married actress Otake Shinobu in 1988 and divorced after a rough 6 years. They have a daughter together, and although they still complain about each other, they gather as a family. Like Kitano Takeshi, Sanma also has an obscure NES game. This one was produced by Namco.